Thank you so much for being a part of this amazing platform. Via Foot Soldier Live, Kosane Empire Online TV Facebook page yaffe, kutusinzira okubate nga kutuusaako amawulire yonna gy'oli gy'osinzira okubanga otulaba obanga otuwuliriza. Ekindeese wane eno munnaaye, mubadde mukyali eyo nga mukola byammwe, abamu muli ku mirimu, abamu mutudde, abamu muli mu lugambo, abamu muli mu kiboozi, mukola buli omu by'otera okukola. Wengwiridde ku lutalo, nze njadde oyita olutalo olw'ebigambo, olutalo lw'aba intellectuals, olutalo lw'abaasoma. Ku mukutu ogwa Twitter waliyo kye bayita spaces, era eyo ku Twitter abaasoma gye batera okubeera nga banyumya emboozi zaabwe. TikTok baagitulekera ne Facebook baagitulekera ne YouTube baagitulekera, kati babeerayo ku TikTok. Ebifaananyi bye ntadde awo ku screen kuliko Mathias Mpuuga, kuliko n'omwami amanyikibwa nga Dr. Spire. Dr. Spire yakola bukatuni, simanyi oba mwe mubulaba bukatuni obwo oluusi. Kuba nnyo Museveni mu katuni n'abeera nga gye ekifaananyi bannayuganda kye balina okulaba ekya Museveni ne Muhoozi. Ennaku zino yatandika n'omuteekako bakayita enywanto. Ku space Dr. Spire yeeguddeko ne Mpuuga. Dr. Spire y'omu ku bantu abachampioninga ekintu kya Parliamentary exhibition mwe basinzirira okuggyayo obubbi, obulyake, obuli bw'enguzi mu Parliament y'eggwanga Uganda. Era mu exhibition mwe ba exposingira Mpuuga ssente ze yafuna milioni 5 ezimufuukidde ekitalo. So ono y'omu ku bachampioninga cause eyo, era bulijjo abadde anoonya wagwira ku Mpuuga nga tamulaba. Finally leero amuguddeko ng'ali ku Twitter space emu agezaako okulimba bannayuganda. Kubaddeko Justice Hunter Hillary, of course oyo naye mu intellectual. Bangi nnyo ababaddeko ku Twitter eyo, ku space eyo ndabyeko Andrew naye mulengeddeyoko, JB Muwonge mulabyeko, ndabyeko Modokai Muliisa, kwegamba kye bakoze Mathias Mpuuga space agidduseeko buddusi. Saagala ate kubanga mboogerera, nze nange nasaba ne ngamba nti nja bijja eri mbibaleetere wano eno nammwe mwawulirire, wabula munansonyiwa bannaaye baganda bange. Ate asoma ku Luzungu, at least funa ka translator, because wano bukyanga Mathias Mpuuga adda ku BBS telefine akubukedde ku NBS n'atulimba. Leero agudde mu baalusoma ate nga be bamu exposinga. So ebigambo bimubuze. Jukira bali batambuza narrative ndi sente zayita mu Parliament, sente yazifuna mu mateeka. Leero bamukutte ne bamugamba boss, kino bwekiti ne bwekiti, amaliriza adduse ku space nga talina kyagamba ggwanga. Wabula ekinnuma nti abantu ensi abalala bino tebabimanyi era tebabiraba, lwa nsonga iffe twagala nnyo ebintu by'amangu. Era gwoba owaddeyo obudde buno owulya space eno gye ngenda okuzannyira, trust me ogenda kumanya amazima. Era Mpuuga agenza olaba nga Mpuuga throwinga kadi ya tusobola okuteesa, bintu byali byakuteesa, bintu byaliwo bikwegamba nga buli kimu yeekubajje. Wabula kyengenda okubakola ngenda gibazannyira, naye ngenda gisalaasalamu obuntu obwo businze okunyumira nga bamugudde mu malaka. Njagala osharinge, njagala otambuze vidiyo, buli munnayuganda agirabe, buli munnayuganda amanye amazima olunaku olwaleero. Mathias Mpuuga beeguddeko n'abaasoma ne basooka bamukalize nkukakasa taliddamu, because agenza olaba nga it is too much. Wallahi ya Mungu, kuba ku space baddeko abantu nga 100 nga buli omu awanika omukono ayina ebibuuzo. Mpuuga agenza olaba tajja bisobola. Koyewa kakokola tondeka nyuma n'agwambala, naye era abaana basigadde bamukuba bamusabula. Era kyemmanyi kino kyo ajja kinyumizaako n'abeewaabwe. Kale katuwulirize ekibadde mu space eyo, gwe naawe andaba obeere ng'omanya. Thank you so much Omax Emmy for joining us. Okuba ate obala nnyo okuba nga otwegasseko. Kale kambatwale tuwulirize emboozi ebadde mu space eyo.
Which for all intents and purposes was supposed to, show us where we have the strides we've made. But unfortunately, like it was supposed to, we seem just to be stuck and regurgitating what was said in 1986. And that speaks to the state of affairs. I think that the president's speech was spot on, that actually nothing is going on, and therefore we cannot expect anything to go on. And that actually, therefore, calls on us to see what to do for us to move our country forward. And I think that Monitor newspaper was really spot on with their headline and front page that actually captured the whole essence of what happened with their blank page. That the president actually said so much, but in his forest of words, there wasn't even a tree of, of something substantive that people could talk, home about. And that should worry us, because soon we will be actually in reverse, if not actually the situation actually is taking us backward. I think to me that was the whole, main issue of the week. That actually you have a president talking for hours, but absolutely saying nothing. Yeah. And
I
then
think
maybe today we also had, the Heroes Day. And still it's a mockery of the word heroes. Not that I seek to, downplay the sacrifices made by ordinary people, the likes of Rutamaguzi. He believed that maybe he was dying for something noble, but the results, the fruits of his blood have turned out to be poisonous. And I am sure that wherever he is, he must be turning in his grave, wondering why he should have, shed his precious blood for a bunch of thugs that his comrades have turned out to be. Yeah.
okay. See, thank you so much. Honorable Mpuuga is actually online. He's having a little glitch coming on, but he's actually on the space. I don't know if you can see him at all. Perhaps Jimmy can come in and start by a quick introduction of ethics in leadership in terms of how he sees it and how important it is how important is accountability in leadership. Jim, would you like to come in, please?
Well, thanks, Juliana, and coming faster on such a matter. Yeah, but it's really good that we are discussing this, and I think that's the spirit that we need, because when such things are left without discussion, sometimes they graduate into something else, maybe less desirable, because where it has already reached, I think the matter would have already been disposed of, or it would have gone into a better direction. But it's partly because it has been blocked, it has been suffocated, or we have given it interpretations that seem to be divergent, that seem to be simply meant to distract us from discussing the real issue, that we've not actually discussed it. Yeah, that said, I think the importance of ethics, the importance of integrity in leadership is almost self-evident, because the first question would ask, what is leadership about? Leadership is primarily about being able to help people realize their aspirations, being able to show the way, and showing the way, that means it's by example, being able to, if, for example, we are talking about parliamentary leadership, it's about agitating for or speaking for those that are sent you in the positions you're in. If it's a position of speaker, if it's a position of leader of opposition, it all comes with particular duties, particular obligations. upon which or against which we measure one's leadership and their integrity. And why does that become important? If the primary aim of having a leader is to attain certain things or help people move from one point to the other, then if that doesn't happen, leadership loses meaning. And the reason as to why we always would desire to have people to account, or we have to put people to account or to put them on pressure, as some people have put it has nothing to do with the people, the particular people. It has nothing to do with who is in office. It has nothing to do with the person of, let's say, the speaker, the leader of opposition, a commissioner, but it has all to do with what is expected of them. So when people come out to question, it's because their expectations. It's because those expectations are sometimes not met. It's because at times we might behave in ways that are contrary to what is expected of us. But above all this, a leader is expected to have to do whatever it takes to keep the trust of the people. Trust is very important because when it's not there, even when you do something in good faith, people will always doubt you. It will be received with suspicion, it will be received with doubt. And building the trust of the people means that you have to be above doubt. That's why at times it might feel like we are being too hard on our leaders. That's why it might seem like we are putting a lot of scrutiny on them. It's because if there is any doubt on a leader, whatever they will do is going to be affected. I imagine that many of our leaders have some things that they are doing, some good here and there, although it might be a tiny drop in an ocean of many bad things, but there is some good. You see that today, one of the things that our government is grappling with is that even when it tries to do things in good faith, it is met with suspicion. Even when it tries to initiate projects that are otherwise worthwhile, otherwise important, in good faith, and maybe measure to the problems, people will start with asking, what is in this for them? What exactly are they now strategizing or calculating to steal from this? So that environment is part of what we try to avoid by holding leaders up to a very high standard, leaders up to a very high bar. And now this is where I would have to talk about the aspect of legality and morality. I know many have tried to draw a line, a clear line between the two, and to try to give the impression that these are separate and whereby we could even focus on one and not the other. Legality or for a thing to be done following the law is very important. But we should know that ethics comes before the law, morality comes before the law. Actually, we legislate for certain things to hold in certain ways because we find them to be good. We legislate against certain things because we find them to be bad. So it means that ethics comes before legality. So we shouldn't really be concentrating or putting all our attention on whether the thing is legal or not. Sometimes the thing is legal but not morally right. Sometimes, and we have so many examples on this, I don't even have to enumerate any. We have many in history where things have been legal but unethical, legal but really unacceptable. So as we debate this matter, as my training is in philosophy, but specifically ethics, that's why I put so much emphasis on ethics. But also, of course, we know that law springs from ethics. So as we debate this matter, I think we would have to focus on both, not just the legality, but also the morality. I understand that morality can be relative, but there are also things about which we are generally agreed. Things like honesty, things like accountability. I don't think we have so much question about that. And about such things, when we are discussing them, it's not enough for one to say, but what was done was within the law. Yes, it's good if a thing is within the law, and law actually helps us to provide a framework within which we can be answerable for doing certain things, but it should not be the only check on the consciences of leaders, on the actions of leaders and inactions. Yeah, that's the brief background that I would give to the importance of integrity and ethics in this matter, in leadership generally. And maybe just one last thing I would add. Sorry, I hope I'm not forgetting. It's it has skipped my mind. Maybe when I recall, I'll come back to it.
That's
Yes,
no problem.
Juliana.
Yes, hi. That's not a problem. Perhaps the other thing, as Honorable Mpuuga, I sent you an invite. I've tried to add you as a speaker. I can't seem to. You might want to leave the space, then come back, and I'll be able. So if you log out and log in again, I should be able, in theory, to. He says that he sent a request. I should be able to see you. Sam, could you go into the request and see if you can bring him up? If that doesn't work, could you please leave the space and then come back? Then I'll be able to bring you up promptly. My apologies for the technical glitch. We tried to resolve it before, but hey ho, here we are. Thank you so much, Jim. What I wanted to ask you, and the reason we are here today is because of the Parliamentary exhibition. Now, I'm sure everybody knows exactly what it is, but could you just briefly tell us how we got here in terms of the work that you've been doing with the exhibition? Thank you. Jim.
Oh yeah, and before I get to that, I just remembered what I wanted to say earlier. It was that why does this thing keep coming and flying away? What was it? Oh yeah, when we are campaigning during the elections, I think one of the considerations of the public, of the masses, of our voters, the things they look at, they mostly look at our character, they look at our conduct, or they look at the person as they know them. They don't generally look at how much you know the law or how much you can follow the law, although I think many would consider that to be important. And that's why when we err, or when we make an omission, or when we make a mistake, deliberate or not, we are judged against the expectation of the kind of character that the people had. So I don't think that at that point, when people are calling out, then we should be now pointing them to the legality of what we have done exclusively, without, for instance, in the context of Uganda, where much of ethics, morality rotates around Obuntubulam, whether what you did was something that Omuntubulam would do, what you did was something that around Obuntubulam, the central element or the most important value is that of having a sense of shame. Whether it is something that a person who has a sense of shame wouldn't be ashamed of, whether it is something that you would do and you'd feel that people are not going to say, ekyo kyakoze nga kyansonyi, or ekyo kituswaziza, or ekintu ng'ekyo kiswaza. Sorry to put it in Luganda, but I'm just trying to bring it out in context of, and I think this applies to many cultural contexts, not exclusively Buganda. But that's the parliamentary exhibition which we conducted, spearheaded by Goran, specifically by Agatha, a few months ago. It was mainly meant to highlight what goes on in Parliament. And I think it's been one of the most important exhibitions ever since we started with the potholes. Why do I say it's one of the most important? Because Parliament is the arm of government that is supposed to speak for us, the arm of government that is supposed to represent our aspirations, our needs, our pains. So generally, the common person would look at Parliament that if, and I'm talking about the ideal, not what is on the ground, they would look at Parliament to be the voice that speaks for them. They would look at Parliament to be a reflection of their circumstances. If, for instance, we are generally a poor country, we are generally deprived in so many ways, you would also want to look at the kind of lives that MPs live, not that they're exactly the same as yours, but that they show some sort of empathy, they show some care for the for the plight of the masses. So when we started this exhibition, the idea was primarily to allow the public to give feedback to Parliament. And this feedback is in terms of bringing to light some of the things that are happening in Parliament and whether this is how Parliament should be run, how Parliament should be representing us or not. There had already been some voices that prompted this, some concerns over time, concerns about accountability, concerns about emoluments of MPs, per diems, and all these things. And in that particular context, the concern had been about per diems. It started with the per diems of the speaker, especially per diem on leave, where it was brought to light with evidence that was shared by Agatha that she was receiving a per diem of $4,000 on leave, and was it about 30 days, and so many other things that eventually came up. So it started with this, and then building up from one thing to the other. The next thing that came out was the service awards, the money that
Oh, I've lost you. Hello, we've lost you. Please, can you, we can't hear you. Can you unmute, please, Jim?
Oh, sorry, you had muted me actually. I can see muted by host.
Please go ahead.
But I hope the speaker is not in charge of your phone.
No,
Liliana,
she's
can
not.
you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, and she's certainly not. Please go ahead.
I don't know the last thing that you heard me say.
Sam, can you help on that? Because I'm just trying to get Honourable Matthias in.
I think you were talking about the per diem of 4,000 that was being received by the speaker, and then that's where I think we lost you.
Oh, yeah. So it was from the per diems, then to the service awards, the monies that the commissioners had awarded themselves with the language that I see in the minutes, they considered and approved, about which I think even the explanation which has been given by some that it was in the budget, it becomes suspicious, because even if it was in the budget, why is the language in the minute they considered and approved? And so many other things followed from that. The monies that were being deposited on individual accounts, personal accounts of the assistants of the speaker, on the accounts of Oborium, and the accounts of Emmanuel. There are about 4 or 5 different people, and amounting to billions of money in the names of corporate social responsibility, but which seem to be arbitrary, where there are no clear channels of accountability for these monies, but one simply has to judge whom they give, whom they don't give. And there were questions whether this should be the role of Parliament, engaging in corporate social responsibility, but more so corporate social responsibility that is arbitrary. But on top of that, the speaker also has another budget for donations. So there was so much money moving about that was quite fishy, that was quite questionable. Some people have asked now, how about Tayewa? How about so and so? Which I think was somehow meant to be a distraction, because amongst the things that I exhibited, I wasn't really so much privy to information from Parliament, because I don't have many sources there. Much of the information was through Agatha. But what I received specifically about the deputy speaker, there was his role in the ROCO contract and how he conducted that particular sitting in Parliament on the issue, and claims that he had also been bribed. There were issues about his giving tenancy to what's the name of Caesar? Is he called King Caesar, who is a personal friend, his role in NIRA. So all that came about, and we were constantly urging people that if you have anything to exhibit about anyone in Parliament, please share it. which is quite strange why one would come out and ask, hey, how about Honorable Taiwo? Because that question suggests or presupposes that you are aware that there is something about the Deputy Speaker that needed to be exhibited, but you're not sharing it. So that was part of what came up during the exhibition, but there was also stuff about recruitment practices. So many people coming in through the window, relatives, cousins, and this was across board. It's not just on the side of NRM, but also on opposition. In fact, what has been most shocking during this during the parliamentary exhibition was the silence of many people from the opposition when these things came up. That whoever you contacted, expecting that they would also add or tell you a bit more, they were quite guarded. They were quite careful about what they were to say or not, which gave the impression that either they were under so much intimidation, which is still not understandable at that level to say that you're being intimidated, not to say what you want to say, or they were beneficiaries to what was happening. And I think the latter is highly likely because when you check the records that we saw of travels, you see that some people are benefiting even for travels that are otherwise private. Someone is going for a pilgrimage and they have to take from the taxpayer to go to Mecca or to Rome for pilgrimage, all of which are abuses. And we were also asking from all that came up, the entire mess, how was it possible that the opposition was not in the know? Much of this stuff was known within Parliament, in the corridors of Parliament, but why were they quiet? So it appears there is either a syndicate or some sort of scratch my back, I scratch yours that is informing the the way they are playing this ball, but at the expense of the taxpayer. So it's that's the background how we came to all this, and then later to the sanctions. But a lot was unearthed, a lot that has really shocked so many people. Because if the institution that is supposed to be speaking for us is at the same time the institution doing all this, and the worst being that they don't want to be asked to account, yet they are the ones who are always asking the different entities of government or whoever to go them for account, and they are asking all these tough questions. Why wouldn't they want to be asked the same questions about what they are supposed to do? Why would they stammer, including those who have been so eloquent all along that when it comes to these particular accountabilities, they wouldn't want to talk about it? The same with this matter of the censure motion that emanated from the exhibition. If the censure is to lead to discussing, to debating the matter on Parliament, where they can bring everything on table, if one needs to explain themselves, maybe they were misunderstood, misrepresented, or we had partial evidence that was not entirely reflective of the matter, that would have been their chance to explain. But the fact that they are trying to block it, the fact that they are trying to make sure that it doesn't happen raises more suspicion. What is it that they are hiding? If I have nothing, if I have nothing against me, or if I'm sure about my innocence, and one is alleging, I would ask them to bring the matter out so that I get the opportunity to explain myself. You're saying this is what I did, but that's not the case. But the moment I start blocking it to ensure that it's not discussed, the impression it gives is that there is truth to it. That's one of the possibilities. It's the reason you don't want it to be discussed. Yes, sorry for that long stretch of explanation, Juliana, giving a background of what happened. Sam, back to you.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much, Jim. Hi, welcome, Dr. Eve. If you can see Momin Mpuuga, you can bring him up. Otherwise, Sam, I'm going to have to bring him in via my space, and we will he can talk via this phone or my space. Dr. Eve, can you see at all, can you see in the requests Honorable Mpuuga's request?
No, I don't see Mr. Mpuuga. as one of
Okay.
the people that have requested for the mic.
He's not one of them. Okay, not a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring him in via my phone. I think that's probably the best way to do it. If you just bear with me a second. Thank you.
Oh, Juliana, are you still on?
Yes, hi, I'm back. What we're going to do, thank you, Jim. Thank you for that explanation. I'm going to bring Honorable Mpuuga in now via my space, and he can speak to us that way. Hello, Honorable Mpuuga.
Yes, hi.
The floor is yours.
What we're going to do, thank you.
Oh, Juliana, I think you are muted. We are not getting you.
I'll be with you in a second. I'm just getting him to talk just now. He'll be with us just now. Hold on.
Okay.
Hello, Honorable Mpuuga. Hello. Oh, for God's sake. Hello. Okay, we're having a huge technical glitch, and he can't seem to get onto the space, or he can't. What we will do is, Sam, would you like to start with your opening remarks, and then I will try to get him back again because he seems to be having connecting issues again. Thanks.
Oh yes, I'll gladly take on the job. And I would like to say that my submission will really not be very different from what the professor has said. There are a number. I've been following the whole saga, and a lot of it, of course, not just limited to the parliament thing, but like Prof said, leadership is not just about legality. There is so much to leadership than the legal questions. And I think that what we need to appreciate is that when one is trusted with a position of leadership, especially for the opposition, people are desperate. People are faced with this cabal of, looters, and they look up to opposition leaders to be their voice, to be their vanguards, to spearhead their struggle for a better, life. Now, when they see our people join hands with their exploiters, then they really get disappointed, and actually they will come down more harshly on these opposition voices than those in government, because in any case we don't expect much from them.
Sam?
But,
Yeah. Sam, so
yes,
sorry to catch you. I have got Honorable Mpuuga on the line now, so he can perhaps start his submission,
Yeah,
and then you can come in after him before we lose connection again. Hello, Honorable Mpuuga, can you hear me?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Very well. So thank you so much for finally getting here. Just to verify that, Sam, can you hear Honorable Mpuuga?
Yes, loud and clear.
Wonderful. Okay. So I suppose what we're going to do is we're going to start, what I will start by asking you, Honourable Mpuuga, is perhaps you can tell us briefly your journey into leadership, because as you know, today we're talking about leadership, ethics, accountability, and the conflict of interest. In regards to leadership in general and not necessarily specifically to any one group or party. So if you can perhaps give us your journey into leadership, because I know Limuna would do. So please come in. Please go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'd like to offer my apologies to people in the space. I encountered a technical glitch. I thought I was tech savvy, that I'll easily get into the space, but then somehow I could not hear you and they could not get to me. So I have lost the last 32 minutes without the data sharing, but I've been listening into the submissions made by the Prof, somebody I immensely respect, and my old comrade Sam. So I'm glad to be on this space to share with the people in there my views and whatever that they probably love to hear from me. Responding to your first question about my journey in leadership, of course, it's not, it can't be placed on a Kasuku page. It's quite a long journey, a journey of personal sacrifice and a lot of input. But suffice to say that I started leadership at an early stage, and probably my capabilities came to bear more when I joined the university, because that's where I met peers with whom we shared close values. Coming from a background of a DPF family, very conservative and Catholic. Naturally, when I joined university, I joined up with colleagues that had a year before me founded the UID, and I joined the UID. That's where I initially wielded my trade in there. We see a lot of orientation to leadership and, of course, politics, because the two are distinct, leadership and politics, probably many a time play in the same space. But at some stage, you need more of the other to be able to circumvent the kind of situations you encounter. So to be precise, the university introduced me to the hardcore politics. Of course, at that time, there was a lot of agitation to restoration of the key pillars of the kingdom of Uganda, in which as a young man in Uganda, from a conservative Uganda family and community, played a part in Nkobazambogo, and I was at the forefront of mobilizing colleagues to participate in a lot of community work, Bulungi Wansi, to restore key Uganda installations. I was a leader of Nkobazambogo at the university. Then somewhere in my second year at the university, His Majesty